Hey everyone, happy Friday. This is a really exciting part of our poem today because you get to be quite creative. So I'm just going to share the screen and we can get started. Okay, so as our starter today, remember yesterday we learned about rhyming words and rhyming phrases. So you have a column here of words and there's a picture to help you. And on this side, there's another column of words and pictures. So your job is to match the words from this side that rhyme with the words on this side. So I'm going to go through it with you, just the list, and I'll do the first one with you, and then you can pause the screen and have a go at doing this for your starter. So we have car, cat, frog, mouse, fox, house, box, bat, star, and dog. So car, I'm looking for the word that matches with car. Car, house. They don't rhyme. Car, box. Car, bat. Car, star. Oh, car, star. That sounds like a rhyming match. So I'm going to draw a line to match them. You don't have to do that though. You don't have to draw every single picture. What you might want to do on your paper is write down car, and then right beside it, you can write star because that's its matching pair. So you can do that writing on the paper for your starter. So you're going through this side and you're looking for the rhyming pair on this side, just to review your rhymes. So you can pause the screen and have a go at doing that. And when you're back, we can get started. So today's the 29th of January, 2021, and you're going to be we're going to learn how to create new ideas for a poem that you've heard. So today we're learning to create our own characters and also to use some rhyming words and phrases to create our own poem. Now remember, Edward Lear's poetry is really silly and it doesn't always make sense. So in our regular writing, we're used to trying to make our sentences make sense. But actually in this kind of writing, we don't have to worry so much about making our sentences make sense as long as we have those rhymes. So it can be quite silly today, which is quite fun. Okay, so I'm going to read through Calico Pie, the poem we learned yesterday, just to get started. And I'd like you to join in with any parts that you remember. So you can read it along with me. You don't have to just listen. Calico Pie by Edward Lear. Calico Pie, the little birds fly down to the calico tree. Their wings were blue, and they sang tilly-loo till they all flew away, till away they flew, and they never came back to me. They never came back, they never came back, they never came back to me. Calico Jam, the little fish, swam over the syllabub sea. He took off his hat to the sole and the sprat and the willoughby wat, but he never came back to me. He never came back, he never came back, he never came back to me. Calico Ban, the little mice ran to be ready in time for tea. Flippity flop, they drank it all up and danced in the cup, but they never came back to me. They never came back, they never came back, they never came back to me. Calico Drum, the grasshoppers come, the butterfly, beetle, and bee. Over the ground, around and around, with a hop and a bound. But they never came back, they never came back, they never came back. All right, I hope you were able to join in, especially to the repeating parts, because remember, part of the fun of poetry is just getting to read it out loud and getting to perform it. Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to be creating our own character. So yesterday we talked about the speaker of the poem, the person or the voice, the character who's telling us the poem. And we said it could be a person, but it's more likely an animal because all the animals were running away from this animal. So we have to think about what kind of animal would be so frightening that all the animals would run away. So we had a little think about some animals, and here's some of the answers that a lot of you sent in yesterday. So we have, it could be a tiger, it could be a shark, a lion, a vulture, a crocodile, a leopard, or a dragon. I liked the dragon. I thought that was really creative. So what do all these animals have in common, or what's kind of the same about them? Can you notice something kind of the same about all of them? Pause the video and have a think, have a chat, have a share. Yeah, if you guessed, one thing that we noticed is that they were all animals who are quite scary, or could be quite scary and quite ferocious. So maybe the other animals wanted to run away because they were so scared. So here's just some ideas to get you started of an animal that you could choose today for your poem. You can choose any animal you want. It doesn't have to be an animal that is on the list right now. So for your next step, you're going to draw a picture and label the new speaker of your poem. So who's the animal that they're all running away from in your new poem? You can take about 10 minutes to draw, create it, color it, make sure you label it. What animal is it? And then come back. So have a little go at creating your animal. Give yourself 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes if you need it to do a really nice job, and then come back to the video. Right, welcome back. Now that you have a really creative, scary animal for your other creatures to run away from, what we're going to do today is write about the animals that are going to run away from your animal. So to help you get started, we've got a guide, and I've had a go at filling in the words to make my own poem. So you've got an example. So we've been given the sentence starters to create our poem. We just have to fill in the words and the phrases that make it rhyme. So calico, I said can. You can say any word you want. You have to think of what kind of sound you want to be using in your poem, but it can be cam, bam, sam. It doesn't have to be a real word. It can be a nonsense word as well. Like our alien words that we use in our phonics would be really good for this. So calico cam, the little fish swam. Okay, calico cam, the little fish swam. So it rhymes so far, cam and swam. Down to the deep blue sea. And it sang, catch me if you can, until the shark had other plans. And they never came back to me. They never came back, they never came back, they never came back to me. So your job, and you can work with an adult or an older sibling or a learning partner to help you with this one, because coming up with your own rhymes can be quite tricky, but it is quite fun. And remember, it doesn't have to make perfect sense. It can be a little bit silly as well. So it doesn't have to make sense the same way our stories and our other writing do. So there's my example, calico cam, the little fish swam. Maybe you can think of another, if you want to keep mine, you could come up with another word for what the fish did, or maybe you could come up with another word up here. So calico lamb. Calico lamb, the little fish swam. So it still rhymes. We're trying to keep the rhymes. So have a little go at playing around with it. I'm going to take away mine so you have a good template that you can use to write your poem. Okay, so you've got the sentence starters for your poem. You just have to fill in those rhyming pairs. And the best part of today would be if you made a video of you performing your poem when you're done and send it in, because not only do we love to see your videos of everything you do. Your reading is really great, but especially with poetry, we've talked a lot this week about how a poem needs to be performed. And if we looked a little bit at what we were talking about earlier this week, the mood of the poem, let's go back to see if I can find the mood of the poem, or what makes a good poetry performance. So we need to learn the lines of our poem, and you can read them if you need to, but it's good to practice them so that you know them. You might assign parts to different performers. This is a really short poem, so you should be able to do it by yourself, but if you can get someone at home to help you or be in the video with you, that would be great. Did you use expression? So are we just reading it really slowly, or are we trying to think of that mood? What's the mood of our poem? We know that this poem is quite a silly poem, isn't it? It doesn't make sense. Our writing doesn't have to make sense. So we're looking for you to be quite silly when you're reading the poem, because it's meant to be a fun and a funny poem. So have a little go at creating your character. Then to stretch yourself, we're going to use those rhymes to come up with our own rhyming poem. And that can take you some time. And if you need a little bit of adult help with that, that's absolutely okay. If we were doing this at school, adults, we would probably start off by doing it as a class together. And then some of us would be making some changes because it's not as easy as you think to kind of come up with your own rhymes. So if they need a bit more support with this part of it, that's absolutely fine. It's more for children to play around with rhymes and hearing the rhymes. So if they need a little bit of help, that's okay. And and then have a go at practicing your poem. I think all of you will be able to do really good performances if you practice reading this poem and practicing it. So a good maybe 20 minutes to practice your poem is probably what we would give you in class, 20 to 30 minutes. You can take little breaks in between, and I can't wait to see them. I think it's going to be really, really great, and you've done an amazing job. So keep up the good work.